It's Speak It Thursday, and it's your girl Shuli, and we are back with another conversation. Tonight, we are going to get into it. We are in the hashtag world, hashtag culture, hashtag generation. Everything is summed up in things in these one-liners, such as hashtag Bay goals, hashtag relationship goals. This could be us, but, and of course, we don't talk a lot about the baggage and the things that shape or influence how we see relationships, how we just show up in relationships. We desire love, we have images of love, and a lot of times I think we want the look of love and the look of perfection, but we don't always want the work, and there's some work that we need to do. And tonight we have a couple who have been together for 47 years. They've been through the fire and they are helping other couples to survive the crazy. We are going to have a conversation tonight, and it's summed up in 4 words: absolutely crazy in love. And to help us talk about it tonight, we have Walter and Karen Weekly. We're going to bring them up. Go ahead and share this because you will want people to know what's going on. Let's bring them on. And the way we show our applause, we share our likes and our hearts, and we say that we love what's going on. Share this on your social media. Welcome. We have Walter and Karen Weekly.
Hey,
Thank you. How are you doing?
Good. How are y'all doing?
It's good to be here.
Yes. You know what? With everything that's going on, you're right. It's really good to be here.
Yeah.
I thank y'all for coming on, and I didn't really get too much into detail about your expertise. You guys have a whole list of things that you are, we're not going to say the good at, but you're the experts in relationships. So give us a little rundown about your certifications and these letters and things that say that y'all are.
Oh, wow.
TheBomb.com.
Yeah, that's a lot of things. We're licensed marriage and family therapists, licensed belief therapists, licensed pastoral counselor. We're certified communication people. We got certifications with Symbis, with Prepare and Enrich. That's a whole list of things with the life coaching, relationship coaching. What's the thing? The dynamics thing, like
marital dynamics.
Yeah, the dynamics. No, as far as the personality assessment, like I'm a strong the entertainer, the encourager,
okay,
strong, compliant, the C, as well as the D, the driver, and all that kind of stuff. We both strong drivers. But mine is from the entertaining and encouraging part, and hers as far as details and all that, right? We go through all those things as far as your temperamental assessment. We do those things. Just put it like this: for the last almost 20 years now, we've been doing a lot of things, getting different certifications, licenses to prepare us to do what we've been doing all our life.
Excuse me.
Right. We've been together since, watch this, September 29th, 1973, 8:35 p.m. I called 312 because we're from Chi-Town.
Hey.
758-2212. Bam! There it is.
I love it. Well, first of all, happy belated anniversary to you all. And with all of the certifications, you have experience. You're still together, which tells me that you have survived some crazy times, and you're still here to share this with other couples. And before we get into this, I want to say there's some people tuning in from Houston, here in Houston, Texas. We have Dallas, Texas in the house. Hello to all of my conversation starters. We're about to get into it. So now you told us about your license and your certifications, and so you're equipped. Now let's get into this love experience though. What's your love story? How did you meet? When did you meet? You already kind of gave us a little bit about it, but I want to know that.
Go ahead.
We're high school sweethearts, actually. We began dating my junior year, his senior year. His senior year was back probably when Moses was around.
Yeah.
But we began dating in high school.
Yeah, we've been we were friends. I've been knowing her since middle school. But she had to get on the fast lane to get on my track, so that ain't what happened. Oh, I'm sorry, that ain't what happened. But anyway, so we've been knowing each other since middle school and high school, but we actually started dating and realized that we both had something that the other one was looking for, was needing at that time or something. But we were friends first. We used to walk around the neighborhood and talk. I'm used to talking.
Conversations.
I'm used to talking. She's not used to talking. I am. And when we started talking, she was doing all this talking. I was like, "Is she gonna give me a chance to say anything?" But that was good because she showed me how to listen, and I gave her an avenue to, I guess, share some of the stuff that was in her, in her heart and stuff. And it just ended up working. But we was good as friends, and then it moved this way to
He's still learning to listen.
Getting better at it.
Well, you have that look. I can tell. Like you already know just that one look. That means.
Well, let me share that. My dad had this look that when you were in trouble, that you would rather get disciplined than to have him to look at you that way, because it was like a disappointing. I'm upset. I'm disappointed. So I prayed for that look
for the kids,
for when raising kids comes, because that look. Some of us are familiar with that look. It's that look that Mama gave you and said, "If you do that one more time."
He didn't have to say nothing. Everybody in the neighborhood knew that look. If he come out the door with that look, we all, okay, it's time for us to go, right?
Right. And you're talking about the sunshine, but I know, so a little background. So you meet in middle school, your high school sweethearts is all sunny, sunshine and roses. But tell me about the times. Were there some crazy times? What was that like?
Crazy times. Did I mention that we got licensed and stuff? Started probably like 2002 is when we started getting it. We've been together 47 years. So that means the first 20-something years, 20-something years, we learned the hard way. We learned by experience, right? We actually learned and went through the rough stuff without knowing anything. I didn't even know about marriage counseling and stuff like that, or premarital when we first started dating. I came from the projects, we went into all that stuff, right? So we went through a lot of things, but our love and commitment to each other, and just not knowing any better, right? Because she tell me all the time that maybe she should have investigated a little bit more. We were in a workshop. Could you imagine? We're in a workshop, one of the certifications, and the guy said something, and he, Paul Tripp, and he said, some of my clients, I feel like telling, you should have investigated that a little bit more. And she's been telling me that ever since. She's gonna look at me, why are we in the workshop, and say that. But yeah, so we've been through the stuff, but our commitment and our love for each other, and just the crazy part, that's the crazy part. Because if we would have had the training and the knowledge that we have now, we probably wouldn't have. You understand? We was crazy and loving it. The crazier it got, but we knew that we wanted to be together. I knew that I wanted to be with her, even as I was going through my other crazy stuff. I knew it was her. And we tell couples a lot of times, they fall out of like and they think they're falling out of love. They actually falling out of like instead, right? So there's a lot of things that we didn't like, but you could get over those.
Okay. Well, you're teaching already. So, okay, it's been 50 years, and then you're in middle school, you go to high school, and you talk about the crazy stuff. Now, you were in a band, were you not?
Yeah, and I ran track and played football. So
okay.
That's where a lot of the crazy stuff comes.
I was going to say, what kind of impact did that have on your relationship?
I think the crazy moved back just a little bit, because when we were in high school, somebody thought that they were supposed to make a quick move, and I was like, no, it ain't happening. So
when you say a quick move, what do you mean?
Move.
He thought he was
getting into panties.
Got it.
He wasn't getting it.
Okay, could we say that?
Yes, you can say this. We're grown. That's the wrong station. Yes.
As a matter of fact, that's probably one thing that motivated me to move on with the relationship because I wasn't a player, but I was popular, right? And I hadn't seen a lot of relationships in my family and all that was really working. I had an aunt, uncle that was in Gary, Indiana, that had a solid with other stuff. So I didn't even know what that looked like, right? But when she went with that and was making me wait, making me wait? Making me wait? And I didn't realize that I had waited 2 or 3 years until it was actually there. I said, wait, I did. Wait, there must be something special about her because she wasn't gonna do that, then I would usually be gone, right? But for somehow the other stuff I didn't think about that. And she did. See, it wasn't no quick. And she told me, no, that's all you want to do. No, that's not gonna happen.
Move on.
So you put it out there. You were blunt, auntie. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure was.
Yeah.
Amy Taylor says, LOL, they are funny. I knew it, but look, this is just amazing. So knowing that you were in this group, I was thinking about songs. I have a partner in conversation. He's not on with me. He's been on a couple shows, LB Jenkins. And so we did this where we came up with movies for people to describe their lives. But since you were in the music industry, let's talk about songs. So if you had a soundtrack, what's the song or the songs that capture your love journey or your early years?
Okay, well, you want to go? Well, I know one of the first was September by Earth, Wind & Fire because we started dating into. Do you remember?
Hey,
that was one of the first, but one that was special to me because I used to sing it to her because I performed it on stage, but I used to sing it to her, and that was Always and Forever. Always and forever. Dum, dum, at this moment with you. Oh. I used to sing that, and I just knew they was going to come down after that, but they didn't. After I sung Always Together, she still didn't drop them. I'm like, whoa. But what was some of the other, True Devotion, because of our devotion to each other.
So is True Devotion representative of later in life, or is it just the all-inclusive?
All-inclusive. And I think through the rough times, I guess one that would define it more would be Jennifer Hollidays, and Jennifer Hudson sung it in Dreamgirls. I ain't going.
I'm not, and I'm telling you.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Okay, so who was singing that one?
No, we the original when Jennifer Holloway.
Yeah, no, I'm saying who in the relationship was singing and I am telling you.
Yeah. Because that's what I said. I ain't going. Because she thought, I said, no, I ain't going. Yeah, because this is what your best thing that has happened to me. I'm not going. Even though I was in the midst of the crazy. That's why when you had that topic, crazy in love, it is, and we try to tell people that sometimes that love and especially marriage can be a crazy thing, and if you can work through the crazy, man, on this side of the crazy is beautiful. As a matter of fact, we can look at the things that we've gone through and just being a little transparent. We've been through infidelity. We've been through fussing and fighting. We've been through all of the crazy stuff that usually break couples up. But it didn't break us up. So we have a thing that we tell couples that we know for a fact, not just because what we've read or what we've studied, we know for a fact that there's nothing that you go through that God can't get you through. Because we know it's Him by Himself that got us through that, because we were in the crazy. In the midst of the crazy, knowing that it's crazy, and still, dead in the crazy.
And he's still crazy.
Well, yeah, look crazy. But going through those times, it even strengthened more. And now we get even more strength because we look back now at that, and God is using. It's funny, He's using the crazy things we've been through to help couples, to let them know, no, you can make it, because we get them to look at what the real problem are, or what the real.
I think people, if you look at yourself and really did a self-evaluation of who you are, your good, your bad, your indifference, your sometimes your attitude or whatever, and you look at yourself. Many times we set a bar up here for people to meet, and we haven't met that bar ourselves. So I come to you for you to complete me, to to be up here so that I can look good, but then I'm not willing to do that too.
Mm.
And sometimes we look for things in our spouse or our boyfriend or girlfriend needs to fulfill that's not meant for them to fulfill. See, if you you have to leave space for God, because that's what makes we're Christians, right? So you have to leave space for God. And if I'm putting all of my trust and hope and everything in her, that's when you hear people make statements like, "I can't live without you." You know, I can't live with this. Think about that. No, we can exist without you. Now, the quality of that life may not be the same, but saying I can't live, or we don't use this statement no more. Oh, I love her to death. No, there's actually people that have loved somebody to death. You know what I'm saying? So no, we don't say that. I love her to life. You know, I love her to joy. I love her all those things. But yeah, you know that commitment goes beyond the crazy. Once you get to understand where it's coming from, that's where the baggage and stuff. When you get an understanding of your baggage, you know why certain things trigger you.
We're about to get into this good old baggage too. Let me get some comments here. We have Diane Gibson. That's Mama. I call her Mama D. She says, "Keeping it real. All right now, sing it if you know it. Know if you sing it." And Aquila Johnson says, "Amen." And then we have Rod Harrison. He says, "I love the weeklies."
Shout out to Rod. What up, Rod? That's my boy. That's Rod. Man, I love you, man. You and sure. Hey.
But yeah, so let's get into it. So Auntie.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's start with you. So we're hearing the entertainer. We're hearing you're solid, you're detail oriented. So he's the entertainer. You're solid, you're detail oriented, and that kind of thing. And he's going through the crazy, but I haven't heard him say that you went through the crazy. So what was in you that made you stay? How did you survive it, and what did you do?
I'm going to go back to what he said. It happened. If you don't bring faith a part of the unity, then you're going to have challenges in and or out of faith. But your faith has to be bigger than your challenges, and that's the thing that gets you through. The nothing you're going through is bigger than Christ's death on the cross. To be truthful with you. And that's the perspective that we take. If you ask me, how do I endure it? It was my faith. I prayed and I believed God. I trusted God to do what I needed to, what I was asking to do. Now, there was a time that in my conversation to God, I will say he probably was like, this girl really got issues.
God says, you got some problems.
And I say that because when you pour in your heart out, one of the beautiful things about God, he lets you pour your heart out and he hears you. And if you listen enough, you'll hear him speak back. And one of the things when he talks about where he was with the crazy, God asked me what responsibility did I have, did I play in that crazy?
In creating the atmosphere.
And what part I played in that. And I was like, I didn't play any part. He did it. And so the Lord said, no. You have as much responsibility in it happening as he did. And so when I searched that after I fought within myself to resist that I had a part to play in it, so I understood that I created an atmosphere that was not conducive for him to communicate to me of the challenges he was having. And so that I didn't make him do what he did, but I helped create I was responsible for some of the atmosphere that didn't allow us to communicate with each other.
How did you fix that?
That's when we started. That's when things began to make sense of us, when we both took responsibility for our own thing. That's where we started learning about, the baggage and all that, right? As far as taking responsibility for it. I couldn't blame her, even though doing it, I was, I would come home and start an argument just to get a chance to get out the house, right? I would come home and then realizing, wait a minute, I'm the one. And then when she finally got peace, when she had this, and it wasn't like overnight. It was a period of time that she went when God really gave her a peace that I couldn't do anything to break into, right? Because I used to come home and get mad and start arguing. And then when she go to nag and everything, I ain't got to put up with this stuff just to get out in the street. But then when I got to where I couldn't do that, I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I want some of that she got.
It was my conversation when you asked me how did I get past that. It's my conversation with God because I had a question. I went to him. He asked me 3 questions, and I often share those same questions with people who are in challenges with in marriage, more or less. We I don't want to say not necessarily out of marriage, but you have to decide the commitment level that you're willing to go to the next step when it's outside of marriage, that kind of thing. But the 3 questions that I was asked: 1, do I want it to work?
No, first was, do you love him?
No. First was, do I love him? Second was, do I want it to work? And then third was, do I trust him? And those questions come from God. Now, I will tell you, I wouldn't advise anybody to talk to God like I did. Because I was about this close probably to blasphemy, if I were to be truthful about it. Hindsight, I'm grateful that he loved me enough not to think I should be cast to hell for asking, for talking the way I did. But if we're keeping it real, when we're in the thick of it, even as Christians, we wonder, God, why me, or why I, or the challenges we're facing. But he asked me, do I love him? And then my response was,
do you know what he's been doing? And blah, blah, all that
stuff. You know, you're not asking me that, is that, or you ask me that means I have to continue in this same situation or keep up with things. It was hard for me to answer that question without all of the other things I have been experiencing, seeing, and hearing. But he had enough patience with me to let me remove all of that and answer that from the depth of my heart.
The question, so you often said he's cleared it up when you was bringing up all the things that I was doing that was making you mad. He said, no. Do you love the potential in him? Do you love the husband potential according to how I designed it? It wasn't about me. What I was doing was about his thing. She was trying to get her to look. It's the same thing with the marriage. He was trying to get her to look at
So the last question was the one that floored me. The second one, do I want to work? Why would you ask me that? I came to you. You asked me, do I want to work? If I wasn't interested, I wouldn't have approached you in the first place. But the last question was, do you trust me? And I was like, yes, I'm coming to you. He said, no. And then I think when he said, do you trust me with your hurt? Do you trust me with your pain? Do you trust me to be vulnerable again? Do you trust me to do with what you ask me to do, no matter what you see?
With your husband and your marriage.
No matter what you hear, no matter what obstacles you face, do you ultimately trust me? And I realized I had a little bit of sense left after fighting. And I realized, I said, I guess not, Lord, then teach me how. And that's what he did.
You were honest.
Yeah. Had to be. Had to be. At that particular point, it was like being naked. And listen, I've seen myself that way, and I'm traumatized at seeing myself that way. So
I already told her we was
be naked and unashamed.
Yeah. But at that particular point when he asked me that question, I was ashamed because I realized I hadn't really trusted him in the manner that he was expecting me to trust.
Ooh.
So that was that.
And then that started the rebuild on her part. I was still doing all the fighting with myself. And that's when we talk about baggage. I don't know how frustrated I was in myself, the battles I was having with myself. And she was an easy outlet. That's why when couples come to us, first thing we tell them, first meeting, say, listen, I'm not here, if they're married, I'm not here to fix your wife, I'm not here to fix your husband. We're here to work with you guys together to fix your marriage. We're not here to your relationship. We're not here to place blame. We're not here to judge or criticize, because that's not going to help you all get to where you want to go, right? So we help people to take responsibility for their frustration, because it's a fact that can't nobody make you mad. Well, she may be mad, he may be mad. No, can't nobody make you mad. That's a decision that they may do something you don't like. You place a value on it, and then you decide how you're going to respond to it. But you sitting over there with the, with the mean mug and everything, and they could be going on. Just think, that's couples that have relationships that have been over 10 to 15 years. They be out having a good time, and that person could show up. Oh, there he is. There she is. Oh, what's she doing here? Who did that? No, you allowed that to happen. So when people stop, when they start taking responsibility for their own frustration, now that don't say that what the other person did was right, but you start by fixing you first. right? And because you don't want to give nobody that much control, right? If I knew that while we was talking, this bothered you, and I wanted to bother you, what would I do? I would keep doing that because you showed me that it's bothering me. Just like my talking too much, she keep on hitting me on my leg. Yeah. And she know that bothered me because she said I talk too loud too much.
I love it, but y'all are laughing through it. And so that tells me, like you said, with the baggage and your approach to it, let's dive a little deeper into baggage, because can we get through life without having some sort of baggage? I mean,
no. Baggage,
No.
listen, and hear what
some
we
of
say.
us got what do you call those? What's the chest you used to take to college?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's like the army chest, or there's another term for it, but I know what you're talking about. Foot locker.
Some of us got foot lockers of baggage. Some of us got
locker rooms
full of baggage. Some of us got baggages that we should have let go a long time ago. Let me make this statement. If we always make this statement. If you wanted somebody to be just like you,
So much people we're looking for sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes we're looking for people just like you. But if you did that, one of you would be unnecessary.
If two people were just alike, we're looking for that, and then you end up trying to change that person into you. I wouldn't have said that to you. No, well, you didn't. I said it. So why would, that's irrelevant.
That's true.
Yeah, but speaking of the baggage, I'm going to realize your baggage come from your family of origin, good, bad, and indifferent. Meaning, they did a study, and it used to be that a kid's personality and temperament is got between the ages of 1 and 5. It's 1 and 4 now because kids are learning things much faster. They're picking up they can take a cell phone, 3 years old, and say, "The Papa Doc, no, this how you do it." How you know how to get that? Right. So those temperaments and personalities, they're learned back then. What happens after 5 is you go through the rest of your life of managing and maintaining those. How you respond in the relationships has a lot to do with the things that you saw coming up. If you're a strong-willed, domineering, man or woman on a thing, if you're a controlling person, you may have seen some of those things. You don't understand how and it's not a matter of being bad. It's just, it is what it is. But what we don't know when we get in relationships, how that stuff affects us. Yeah. Well, why, if somebody say certain things, why did that piss you off? Why did it, we have triggers. I call them something else, but I'm not going to call them on right now.
I want to hear it. I need to know. What do you call them?
Everybody, if there's any white people, everybody has a nigger nerve. Everybody has a nigger. White, black, Hispanic, everybody has a nigger. That nerve that makes you, after you having fun, please, right? Out of the mess that could take you out of your element, right?
Got it.
If you identify what it is, what those triggers is, then you control them. If you know, like I know for her, my talking loud, that gets on her, or my talking long, because you don't see her hand down here. Yeah, we tell couples, if you see this, if you see her hand do that, she ain't waving nothing. She's telling me.
Okay.
So that and so you have to understand.
You're old and hard of hearing.
Once you understand that, you take control on it, then it can help. So it's understanding the baggage, not blaming somebody else, not even blaming your family. If you want to, you don't, you just perceiving things. But when you understand how that operates with you in relationships, then you could respond better, right? Because listen, it's not what somebody says to you that pisses you off. It's what it says to you. It can mean a completely different thing, because what it says to you goes through your, it mingles with your baggage. Because as they're talking, your conscience, why do they say that? What do you mean? What you talking about? Blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, right?
Wow.
Where the baggage come in is people understand, and that's doing self-evaluation. That's why we help them when somebody come in with an issue. Usually the issues that couples come in to counseling for is not the real issue. Almost every time they come, because they talk about this peripheral stuff, that they talk about the stuff that they got mad at. He called.
So it's not the toilet seat; it's the.
Yeah.
It's the stuff you put in the toilet seat.
I have to use that. I have to use that with that, right? But yeah. So how the baggage plays when you understand your own baggage. So we help people to go back. Okay, why? Okay, what are you mad at? Okay, why does that make you mad? Okay, why is it important for you to have or don't have or not have that? You know, what is that saying to you if you have or don't have, or if she say or he say, you know, what? They go back to, they get to the original thing. What's the cause of that frustration of thing? And it's a matter of changing the tape, because a lot of times, sometimes it's based on some other stuff, some stuff that we may have heard when we were little.
So that's what I was wondering too. Some very specific things. Can you give us examples of baggage that couples come in with? So besides just calling it baggage, let's say, like you said, triggers, the way we talk to each other, can you give us some examples when couples come in, what has led them there? What baggage has led them to you?
And sometimes it's discovering those things afterwards. It could be an abandonment issue. Mm-hmm. That you really, you clinging tight because you don't want the other person to leave. Because the truth of the matter is, somewhere down the line or whatnot, there was a abandonment issue. It could be, how are we going to survive? Maybe the upbringing, there wasn't a lot of income or financial security, and so therefore I bring into there, I gotta have, I won't let go, and I gotta have this too. That kind of thing. So it's just it's different things that people will carry on from that, how they might have been, the relationship with their parents, or how they come inside, how I was perceived,
things that have been said,
how I perceived myself
because of things that have been said. Right? If you call, you ain't worth nothing, you dumb, or blah blah blah, you stupid, or things like that, when they come up, because sometimes, man, we just say things when we're mad. Because that's another thing. Parents, you don't whoop your kids when you're mad. You do discipline them for doing wrong, but don't do it when you get mad, because then you just try to no. You do it because you're trying to break a rebellious spirit. Don't do it if you do it when you're mad. Then that's when you get into abuse and all other stuff, because you got so angry and all that stuff, right? But that you probably have heard these things, or somebody may have said these things, and you still trying to prove to yourself that that's not you, right? Mm-hmm. No, I'm not stupid. I can do this. Blah blah blah.
I'm hurting.
Yeah, I am. I'm what you talking about? Because they looking at somebody else. How come you ain't? All that type of thing, and then they don't know how that set in. As soon as somebody come in and not knowing that and just joking and say something, and then they sitting over there.
Oh,
an attitude and everything.
That face, though, right? Yeah, that attitude face. I love it. You know how to do attitude face.
I think right now we have a lot of people. What I hear sometimes, what we hear sometimes, a lot of people say, "I didn't sign up for that." Yeah, you did. Yeah. When we, especially in the premarital or premarital, when you say for better, for worse, for richer, for poor. Now I know that there's a group out there that says I'm writing my own vows.
And they're going to take that out.
And so they won't, because they don't want to do that. We've had people that don't want to mention that in their wedding vows.
The poorer.
The rich, richer for poor, and sickness and in health.
Oh wow.
Better for worse, until death do us part.
Yeah.
Or whatever. We've had people who don't want to hear that. But for the most part, we don't have a problem with the health, the richer, better. But when the other part come around, it's like, oh no, I ain't signed up for that. Yeah. And it's like, yes, you did.
And we found as most of the time, because they don't have the tools to work through that. See, you're going to have conflict. You're going to have issues, right? Because you're different. Hopefully you're different, and that's what we're completely different. That's why we fuss 3 or 4 times a week. She said 4 or 5 since COVID. Since COVID, 4 or 5. We fuss because we're completely different, but we laugh every single day.
Can you see why?
Right.
Fuss. We know how to fuss now without it turning into a fight.
How do you fuss without turning it into a fight?
Glad you asked. Listen, because she's not my enemy. I'm not her enemy. but there is an enemy that's trying to attack us. So what we do once we get over our personal selfishness, what I'm mad at, all that kind of stuff, then we say, okay, no, let we come back and talk. Because if she has a problem, we have a problem. If I have a problem, we have a problem. So let's focus on resolving the we problem, not her problem. I was like, oh, see how this is going to work. A whole, just working on my problem is you want to sit back. Yeah, okay, let's see how that worked for you, right? No, our relationship have a problem. Let's both. I said both. Oh, I said both. You didn't hear it. I sometimes I put an F at the end of both, and I put I get truth and I get them mixed up sometimes. And she always, her eyes was going to tell me. So I have to
I'm a speech coach by day, but I was so caught up in what you were saying that I forgive you.
I'm so used to her correcting me. But anyway, so what was it talking about?
Keep going.
And we know how to have conflict without it turning into combat. Right?
Say that one more time. That was good.
Have conflict without it turning into combat. When it turns into combat, because most couples, can't nobody get on your nerve better than the one that you're most intimate with. And that's why? Because you're there, you become one with them. You are intimate, and they're supposed to know your vulnerability.
They're in the deeper parts of your heart.
Listen, people have been in relationships where they got hurt and they swear that they're not going to get in, they're not going to be vulnerable again. Well, you're not going to experience true love again.
Ooh.
Because true love, according to the Bible, as Adam and Eve said, they were naked and they felt no shame. That means that has little to do with clothes, has more to do with them being uncovered, transparent, vulnerable to one another. That's where truth comes in. If you can't tell the truth, you need to be able to tell it. And I said it at that truth. Right. Okay. If you can't tell each other, say the truth to each other, then you're not truly being intimate. Because intimacy is knowing into it. Pastor Maddie Credell, she said intimacy is saying intimacy, right? Intimacy in a core. And the only way you get there by being truthful and all that type of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So that trusting thing, we know that, and we don't let the argument or whatever, or the disagreement, right, take us out of that. And there's another thing we have. Let's say quick as far as in that, we approach each when we come. We don't use compromise no more. That's old school, right? You got to compromise in a relationship, folks. No, you don't. You need to collaborate, not
compromise. Say that again. Wait. I was too busy oohing.
Yeah. No, you need to collaborate. Compromise means sometimes I give, sometimes I take, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. Sometimes I'll take it this time. No. You collaborate. See that if she has a problem, we got a problem. If I got a problem, that's collaborating because we're working together to resolve the problem. Because if she wins, I win. We win. If I win, we win. Yeah, we win. You know what I'm saying? So it's collaborate. We work together on resolving the problem. That's how we could fuss 3 or 4 times a week because we don't back off of nothing. We don't allow it to get to where it fester. It could come up at a later time talking about I think
early on, I think people need to recognize, it's our similarities that bring us together, but it's our differences that keep us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. See that illustration? It's our difference that you can't. This is the difference, and it keeps us. And if you embrace those differences, like he said, he's the entertainer, the loud one.
I'm the extreme. I'm the extreme optimist. She's the extreme pessimist, but that don't mean that she's extremely negative and I'm extremely positive. That means that she sees all the things that could go wrong, all of the other things, all the things that we need to watch out for. I see all the opportunity. I see the beach on the other side of the trees. She see all the trees in the forest. Me, I'm gonna run through there and run right into one of them trees, right?
It's like George in the jungle.
Yeah, watch out for that tree. But her, she ain't gonna go to the beach because she's gonna be too busy looking at the tree. So we work together and getting over there. right? So
how do you make that work for you? Yeah, how do you work together to make those differences work for you and not against you? Because, like you said, that's some of the battles in relationships.
The commitment that you have, like I said, your commitment got to be better than the two of you. If I'm in it to win it, then I'm in it for the wrong reason. If he's in it to win it, he's in it for the wrong reason. It's not about I win, he win. It's about how we do this together.
And so we can win.
And so he's completely, like you said, we're completely different. There are, like you said, I probably won't step out there because I'm too busy looking at the obstacles that can be there. Or he won't look at the obstacles to make sure. So we figure out, we're working it out together. When you realize I don't have to have his strengths. He doesn't have to have mine.
And her strengths being different is not something negative for me now.
Right.
Right. You have to learn to appreciate her. Now, we must say, yes, learn to embrace the differences, but your differences is what's going to irritate the hell out of you. Your differences, they are, but you learn how to work through those things because they're saying, Aquila Johnson said, oh, that's true love right there. Yes, it is 47 years, right? But so you understand that. But see, it takes you have to be a student of your mate.
Ooh.
Continually. We're still learning things about each other because we go through transitions. Right? I'll be 65 next year, not this year. Yeah, next March. I'll be 65. Right? So we're still going through transitions, all that type of thing. So as you go through transitions. From 20s to the 30s, from the 30s to the 40s, or different jobs. You go through transition. You go through those things together, and as you change, right? You have to change. People.
And some things don't change. Like he has a potty mouth sometimes.
Girl, it's church folk on here.
This is a real conversation, but that's
everybody know that.
He has a potty mouth sometimes, and that's the most annoying. And so when he gets going, he gets going. And so I come back.
Wait, look, I got to do it. One time we was having this fuss. I mean, and I was using some of my mama's best words. She gonna slap me when I get to heaven because I tell people how good of a cusser she was. She was a cussologist. She could cuss you all so good you felt good about it. Anyway, I was using some of her best words, and Miss Thang over here going to make this statement. You know what? Look,
I just said to him, just loud like he did, just going. I just looked at him and said, I now understand how people can kill in a crime of passion.
And then she got up and walked out the room. How come all the women get that right away? I'm like, yeah. Well, oh, wait, what? Wait, what? Wait a minute, no, time out. We need to talk.
I feel it.
Wait.
So Robin Gibson said, so this is all good stuff. First of all, the being a student of your mate, priceless. Collaboration, priceless. But Robin Gibson says, loving the nuggets you both are sharing. That's my sister. We got the family here. And then she has a question. Yeah. What would you say to couples that start with specific conditions?
I don't know.
We all start with specific conditions.
Right. That's what we call the absolutes. Now, you have some absolutes. You start, yes, but you have to talk about them. You need to talk about it because some of the absolutes turn into preferences. Absolutes is something I absolutely have to have or I absolutely cannot do it. But most of the time when that conversation starts, people talk about the things that their preference, right? Then because if you get to where you stay hold to those, where does forgiveness come in? What does, grace and all those other things? But, you don't start off there. You start letting the other person know that you have these things. Now, as you go through the relationship and you learn, that there may be something that you thought was
each other,
and love has gone over it. But yeah, when you start specific, if you don't, then you can't make that statement. I didn't sign up for that. So having conditions, long as you're ready to receive some conditions, have it as a conversation. But sometimes people put conditions and they condition themselves straight on out of the relationship because they haven't met those, right? The conditions within themselves. So we tell people when you're looking for that right person, like for seeing people you're looking for, be that right person first. Be that right person and be the right person to where, because if you get somebody out of your need deficiency, then you're going to be expecting that person to do what God only could do, right? We could become joyful, we can make each other happy and all that, but some of the things that we need to make us complete comes from Him. And sometimes we'll put those things on the other person and don't realize they're competing with some of our baggage. Some of these conditions we have because of things we've seen. Hey, she ain't your mother, your father, your aunties, that they are not your ex, they're not. You're starting over new. So as far as conditions, yes, you talk about them, but don't talk about them as conditions. Talk about them as matters of the heart. These are matters of the heart, because conditions saying, okay, I have some loopholes that I need for you to jump through. Right?
Conditions will be like starting out with a prenup.
Okay.
Well, yeah. But we look at those differently, because we look at things like prenup is like going in it with an escape plan. And the way we look at it, someone say, who's a good one?
Oh yeah, Chelsea Mack says, "Woo, that's a good one."
Oh, okay, that's a good one. Well, yeah.
But if you look at it, we all have specific conditions, but we have to really have an opportunity to evaluate those conditions, because they may not necessarily, like he said earlier, they may be preferences. I must have sex 10 times a day. That's a preference. That's not a condition. If you gotta have sex 10 times a day, I don't know.
It sounds pretty good to me.
Anyway.
Don't get well. I can't do it no 10 times a day, but I can win.
And a lot of stuff we have unrealistic expectations.
Let's talk about those. What are some examples so that the people know, the perfect people know what's unrealistic?
Well, it could be a lot of things like roles. The different things as far as roles.
Yeah, women, you cook and have babies and stay at home.
Yeah,
that may not be beneficial for our relationship. That's not who we are.
Yeah,
that's not where we are. That kind of thing.
And I know that's
and
old school
wrong
and that's
with that.
Traditional.
It just may not fit for us.
Right, and if people, a lot of times in Christendom, we use the virtuous woman, Proverbs 31, to say how a wife should be. But guess what? She had a business. She had a job. Matter of fact, her husband had a good name down at the court. I mean, down at the gates because of the work that she did. So as far as that depends on the couple. Those are things that depend on you all. As far as talk about certain conditions, right? I need to have this. You need to do this. No, those things, because you have to consider the bags and all that. You talk about them, and then when you talk about them with the sense of, okay, I'm putting this out there so you would know me, so I can know you, right?
When you talk about unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
Let me go back to, wow, you're my knight in shining armor. You will take me away, bring riches to my life.
Every day is
okay. Every day is beautiful. We will never fuss.
Never fuss.
Never, never, ever. And I'm always sharing with people, never, and always are words that are infinite.
They don't belong to us.
They don't belong to us, because even in our best thinking, we can't fathom infinite time. We struggle with today. We struggle today thinking about tomorrow. And so those are infinite words. And so therefore, when you say you always or you never, we don't have.
Because you say always, if it was one time that I didn't do it, that cancels that. Or if you say you never, if it was one time that they did, that cancels that, right?
Yeah.
But you look at things like that. And defining terms and clarifying meanings.
People don't do that.
Tell me about that. What is that about?
Well, if I say a specific word and it may not have the same meaning to him as it does to me. So we have to define, I have to give what that means to me, and he has to share what that means to him. And then clarify meanings. What is that? What does that mean when you say that?
What does that look like?
Or what does that look like?
For example, with the question of what you just talked about, the conditions, right? Some couples have not even defined what love means to them. They assume that we're on the same page, right? Because usually when we do premarital, we ask, what does love mean to you? Right? Well, no, actually, right? Because if you haven't defined that, it can mean a completely different thing to each person because of the conditions. Love means you doing this or you doing that. Love means that blah, 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 and all these things, right? Okay.
Love
really?
means you take care of my car, or I don't work, or you pay the bills, or you do this or you do that. They don't define love.
Yeah.
They don't even define
marriage
or what
a good
husband. What is my idea of a husband and what's my idea of a wife? We just assume we're on the same page because we said I love you.
Yeah.
He loved me.
And for those
and he's so cute, he handsome. She big.
Listen, I didn't always have a belly. It used to be. I used to have six pack, but I got a keg now. She loves the keg, right? But it's not six pack. It's a keg. But we still in love, right? But yeah, so looking at those type of things, it's doing that search. What are some of my What are some of my strongholds? What are some of the things that that have me to run? Because remember, a few minutes ago I said it's not what somebody says to you, it's what it says to you. And if you're feeling inadequate in a certain thing, or like if you feeling fat and somebody call you fat, you're gonna take it some kind of way. It ain't the word fat because you get fat all day. But if they call you then because you feel bad about it, right? Because you feel it yourself. But if you like, what's the singer that's out there now? That
I know what you're talking about. Feeling good as hell, or something like that. That's what you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about, I can't think of the name. But
she have a whole different spin on that. And can nobody come up to her and tell her that? Lizzo.
There you go.
Tell her, and she feel bad about it, right? If somebody call you stupid, if you don't feel little slow or whatever, why would you? That's just like if I called you a bird, and you've seen all of our qualifications. It's obvious that we're pretty smart sometimes, right? So I thought I must be smart, right? But if I called you a bird, why would you not fly? Right? I used to ask people that when we was doing over the youth. Used to ask them, why would you not fly? And they try to figure this deep thing. I said, you won't fly because you're not a bird, right? So if somebody calls you something that you're not, why even respond to that, right?
I think people don't have the conversations they need to have anymore, because now it's about our material things. Now it's about the accomplishment. Now it's about us doing better than the generation before or whatnot. Now I will say one thing about this COVID, which is hitting everybody everywhere. COVID has had a way to draw us together and really, really look at ourselves, really look at our relationships, really look at where we're going and what we're doing, helping us to find purpose or whatnot. So I think if we can do that outside of a pandemic, I think that will move us even further in relationship or whatnot.
And I just say this real quick. I think that also is the idea that we're looking at from social media, from movies, from everything else. And I think they're getting a false idea of what makes a marriage work.
What makes it work? Tell us. Come on.
Marriage works when you work it. It don't work just because it's marriage. Marriage itself is a perfect idea because it was designed by God, instituted by God. But it has two imperfect people in it. And those two imperfect people have to make it work. They have to put in the work, right? I mean, we enjoy and stuff now because of the work that we put in, not because it just happened. If you're waiting for it to happen, it ain't gonna happen. That's the, thinking that it could be happy ever after, happy ever. No. You got to work on that happiness, because I guarantee the first issue that come up is going to mess with that ever after.
Hit that other nerve you were talking about.
Yeah, gonna hit that nerve. Gonna hit that nerve.
That my eyebrow goes up with the nerve. I clutch my pearls. So what you said, we don't have the right conversations when we meet somebody and we're in this stage of attraction before it even gets to marriage. What should those initial conversations be like?
It's being real.
I think be real and authentic. What was I going to say? Who was that?
That's my daughter. Hey, Michi.
Oh, hey, Michi. She said marriage works when you work it.
Yeah, that's my daughter right there.
What's his name? I think that was Eminem said Slim Shady, when the real Slim Shady fill up.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you have that.
When you're dating, you're seeing the representative. Right.
That's not the real person. But as you get into the
Chris Rock, yeah.
Yeah, you get into the relationship, then you actually get to see the real person. But I think being authentic and real
from the
beginning makes a difference. And if it don't happen, it wasn't meant to be. Sometimes we try to. I think that people used to say you try to put a square peg in a round hole, and because some of us just feel like we got some man is better than no man. Some woman,
piece of man.
No, I want no piece.
Because you're gonna be missing those other pieces that you ain't got, right? And the thing is, we have to realize that about ourselves. Sometimes those flaws that you don't want them to see, there's no way that relationship is going to move forward and y'all get married and become one, and they don't see them. So if they're going to run from them, it's best to have those things. I'm not talking about just dumping everything right at the beginning, but I'm saying not hiding some things if you know that you need to having that conversation. So
I think take the time and let it grow.
Yeah,
take the time and get to know each other.
Having real talk.
And listen, you don't have to be. Please, I hear this a lot. I'm in my 40s and my 50s, and I'm not, and I haven't found the one, or I'm old and not worthy, and that's not true. That's not true. In God's timing, it will happen. It will happen.
I received that. Michi said, be authentic and real from the beginning. So, yes. Now, give us some homework for this baggage. How do we, as we're in a state of preparing, or you're in a relationship and you're realizing I have baggage is showing up and it's kind of messing me up. Give us some homework. What can we do? What questions can we ask? How can we really dump some of this baggage? Because I know you told me about a book. How can you let it go? Drop it.
I love that book.
So let me first of all, if you know you're carrying something from 1975 to 2021,
let that shit go. It starts with the homework. It starts with investigating yourself, talking, looking yourself. Don't be afraid, because sometimes we're afraid to open some doors or some stuff because it ain't gonna change how you feel about yourself.
Let's go back.
If it should, then it needs to be open so you could go ahead and deal with it.
I think of Michael Jackson. He said, "I'm just talking about the man in the mirror."
Yes.
He needs to change his ways. Sometimes we don't want to look in that mirror, because that mirror is a representative of who we really are. But in order for you to be where you need to be there, you really have to look at that mirror and say to yourself, wow, this is a part of me that needs to grow. This is a part of me that needs to be different, and be willing to change that, and be willing to see that. In that change and letting that baggage go, it's not as important for me to change that for him. It's important for me to change that for me. If I don't do that for myself, I'm never going to be what I need to be for him.
And
vice versa.
Yeah. But yeah, I've said you definitely start with doing the self-evaluation and having an honest talk with yourself.
Hey, Ish.
Having an honest, that's my partner right there. Having that conversation with yourself about the things, then with your partner who you're in a relationship with, being able to really talk about this thing, because we all have something. Everybody got something wrong, because we're imperfect creatures, right? But together, that's why God called our mate, our husband or wife, a suitable helper. It didn't say a suitable benefactor, right? To benefit from all the good. No, a suitable helper. That means I'm going to help her. She's going to help me to be what God has called us to be, right? And that's reflectors of His image and His likeness, right?
I think that's what's important. I'm glad you brought that up.
You're always glad when I bring those up, ain't you, girl? Whoa.
They go there. Look.
Okay.
I think one of the things we were created recreated in His image and His likeness, and so as a couple, that's a even more challenging but also an opportunity to be a witness for God, in that we come together, two different people come together, that we can reflect his image and his likeness,
His forgiveness,
his
grace,
his
love.
mercy, his grace, his love, his understanding, his patience. All of those things will be reflected in the relationship, so that people can see. Some people will never read the Bible. Some people will never go to church, but they'll come to you and ask you what's making it work. And when you can tell them it is the faith that we have in our God, our faith that allows us to have in each other, then we can bring that to them. They get a chance. We'll be the opportunity to be the Bible that they don't read.
No. And the next time we get together, you see, I'm already sitting the next time.
I see you. Set it up.
We're going to talk more specifically about, steps to certain things, and we'll come with some resources. Tonight, we just have a conversation, right?
Yes.
We just getting it out.
We appreciate this master class, though. Well, I love y'all so much. Tell them how to find you. How can they, because right now you're helping people do the work. If they want to get with you and they have a conversation or connect, how can they find you?
Well, right now on Facebook is Walter and Karen Weekly. Our email would be WeFam, WEAFAM @yahoo.com. WEAFAM @yahoo.com. And then the phone numbers is 832-492-6431. That's mine. You probably can catch me most of the time. And hers is 832-492-7008.
Okay. Asan Taylor says, yes, we are here for part 2. I was thinking for the email, if they email you so they'll know that they heard about you on the show, they should put it in the subject line, let that ish go, and put the
yeah. They get a quicker response out of me.
Let that ish go. But no, I thank you so very much for coming on to share your wisdom, because again, we are in this, we look at celebrities and the people out here, doing what they do. But I think it's important to have conversations with couples who have the experience. And on top of it, this is icing on the cake. You all have the expertise, and you're going 47 years strong. And everything that you said tonight has been a blessing. It's blessed me. The audience, they've just said great conversation. They're loving this. So from the bottom of my heart, again, I thank you all. We definitely will have to have a part 2 so you can help us, Jesus. Help us, Lord.
Let me tell you, first of all, y'all stop watching them reality shows. That ain't reality.
That's right. Listen, and we like to thank you for having us. And I want to thank my buddy Rod for even, coming out and sharing his experience with us. I mean, we love him and Cheryl. That's our buddies, right? So, and everybody else who chimed in and all your positive comments. It works when you work it. Keep on working on it. And you'll get it's good this side of the crazy. The crazy can be good, but you learn from the crazy, because the scripture tells us all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and that are called according to his purpose, even the crazy. So that topic you had was just crazy is all right, as long as you work through the crazy. Don't let the crazy drive you crazy.
Amen. And with that said, we are tuning out. And until next time, all those who are listening, make sure you catch this we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts, iHeartMedia Podcasts. We are on HOH 77.7 digital radio. Thank you all for tuning in. Share this episode to some couples who they need the love. Share it to your significant other. Listen again for yourself. But again, until next time, go out and speak it. Have a good night.